Random House Audio presents U is for Undertow by Sue Grafton. Read for you by Judy Kaye. Wednesday afternoon, April 6th, 1988. What fascinates me about life is that now and then the past rises up and declares itself. Afterward, the sequence of events seems inevitable, but only because cause and effect have been aligned in advance. It's like a pattern of dominoes arranged upright on a tabletop. With the flick of your finger, the first tile topples into the second, which in turn tips into the third, setting in motion a tumbling that goes on and on, each tile knocking over its neighbor until all of them fall down. Sometimes the impetus is pure chance, though I discount the notion of accidents. Fate stitches together elements that seem unrelated on the surface. It's only when the truth emerges you see how the bones are joined and everything connects. Here's the odd part. In my 10 years as a private eye, this was the first case I ever managed to resolve without crossing paths with the bad guys. Except at the end, of course. My name is Kinsey Millhone. I'm a private detective, female, age 37, with my 38th birthday coming up in a month. Having been married and divorced twice, I'm now happily single and expect to remain so for life. I work solo out of a rented bungalow in Santa Teresa, California, a town of roughly 85,000 souls. Most of my clients reach me by referral, and their business ranges from background checks to process serving, with countless other matters in between. My office is off the beaten path, and I seldom have a client appear unannounced. So when I heard a tapping at the door to my outer office, I got up and peered around the corner to see who it was. Through the glass, I saw a young man pointing at the knob. I'd apparently turned the deadbolt to the locked position when I'd come back from lunch. I let him in, saying, "Sorry about that. I must have locked up after myself without being aware of it." "You're Ms. Millhone?" "Yes." "Michael Sutton," he said, extending his hand. "Do you have time to talk?" We shook hands. "Sure. Can I offer you a cup of coffee?" "No, thanks. I'm fine." I ushered him into my office while I registered his appearance in a series of quick takes. Slim, lank brown hair with a sheen to it, worn long on top and cut short over his ears. Solemn brown eyes, complexion as clear as a baby's. There was a prep school air about him, deck shoes without socks, sharply creased chinos, and a short-sleeve white dress shirt he wore with a tie. He had the body of a boy, narrow shoulders, narrow hips, and long, smooth arms. He looked young enough to be carded if he tried to buy booze. I couldn't imagine what sort of problem he'd have that would require my services. I returned to my swivel chair, and he settled in the chair on the other side of the desk. I glanced at my calendar, wondering if I'd set up an appointment and promptly forgotten it. He noticed the visual reference and said, "Detective Phillips at the police department gave me your name and address. I should have called first, but your office was close by. I hope this isn't an inconvenience." "Not at all," I said. "My first name's Kinsey, which you're welcome to use. You prefer Michael or Mike?" "Most people call me Sutton. In my kindergarten class, there were 2 other Michaels, so the teacher used our last names to distinguish us. Boorman, Sutton, and Troutwine, like a law firm. We're still friends." "Where was this?" "Climp." I said, "Ah." I should have guessed as much. Climping Academy is the private school in Horton Ravine. K through 12. Tuition starts at $12 grand for the little tykes and rises incrementally through the upper grades. I don't know where it tops out, but you could probably pick up a respectable college education for the same price. All the students enrolled there referred to it as Climp, as though the proper appellation was just like so beside the point. Watching him, I wondered if my blue-collar roots were as obvious to him as his upper-class status was to me. "Are you a California native?" I asked him. "Yes, ma'am. I grew up in Horton Ravine. My family lived on Via Inez until I went off to college. I lived a couple of other places, but now I'm back." "You still have family here?" His hesitation was one of those nearly imperceptible blips that indicates internal editing. "My parents are gone. I have 2 older brothers, both married with 2 kids each, and an older sister who's divorced. We're not on good terms. We haven't been for years." I let that pass without comment, being better acquainted with family estrangement than I cared to admit. Sutton touched the knot in his tie. "I know you're busy, so I'll get to the point. I hope you'll bear with me. The story might sound weird." "Weird stories are the best kind. So, fire away," I said. "I don't know if you saw this, but a couple of weeks ago there was an article in the newspaper about famous kidnappings. Marion Parker, the 12-year-old girl who was abducted in 1927, the Lindbergh baby in 32, another kid named Eaton Potts. Ordinarily, I don't read things like that, but what caught my attention was the case here in town. You're talking about Mary Claire Fitzhugh, 1967. You remember her?" "Sure. I just graduated from high school. Little 4-year-old girl taken from her parents' home in Horton Ravine. The Fitzhughs agreed to pay the ransom, but the money was never picked up, and the child was never seen again." "Exactly. The thing is, when I saw the name Mary Claire Fitzhugh, I had this flash, something I hadn't thought about for years." He clasped his hands together and squeezed them between his knees. "When I was a little kid, I was playing in the woods, and I came across these 2 guys digging a hole. I remember seeing a bundle on the ground a few feet away. At the time, I didn't understand what I was looking at, but now I believe it was Mary Claire's body and they were burying her." I said, "You actually saw the child?" He shook his head. "She was wrapped in a blanket so I couldn't see her face or anything else." I studied him with interest. "What makes you think it was Mary Claire? That's a big leap." "Because I went back and checked the old newspaper accounts, and the dates line up." "What dates?" "Oh, sorry. I should have mentioned this before. She was kidnapped on July 19th, which was a Wednesday. I saw the guys on Friday, July 21st, 1967, my birthday, the year I turned 6. That's how I made the association. I think she was already dead by then, and they were getting rid of the body." "And this was where?" "Horton Ravine. I don't know the exact location. My mother had errands to run that day, so she dropped me off at some kid's house. I don't remember his name. I guess his mom had agreed to look after me while she was gone. Turns out the other kid woke up with a fever and sore throat. Chickenpox was going around, and his mom didn't want me exposed in case that's what it was. So she made him stay in his room while I hung around downstairs. I got bored and asked if I could go outside. She said I could as long as I didn't leave the property. I remember finding this tree with branches that hung down to make a little room, so I played there for a while. I heard voices, and when I peeped through the leaves, I saw the 2 guys walk by with shovels and stuff, and I followed them. But I have no idea where I was. I know I'd never been to the house before, and I never went there again." "Any chance one of your siblings would remember who the kid was?" "I guess it's possible. Unfortunately, we don't get along. We haven't spoken in years." "What about your classmates? Maybe she left you with one of the other moms, like a play date." Sutton blinked twice. "That's a possibility I hadn't thought of."
Sample complete. Ready to continue?